Alright, so getting started with my assistive technology modified assessments and data drive PowerPoint. So starting off with my ICANNs for the month of September. My area is going to be band, and specifically marching band, because this time of the year is marching band. So my ICANNs for September, I can play expressively and accurately on my instrument, perform as an ensemble, analyze my music and all of its components, identify examples of music orally, identify and explain compositional devices and techniques. I can evaluate mixed media, give a critical analysis to a piece of music, evaluate performances, composition, arrangement, and improvisation, and classify music, and then identify musician roles. Going to my formative assessment, so I'll go to the link in a second, but attached are 3 short answer responses that will tell me what the students know, remember, and implement during the marching season. So after reading their answers, I can group the students into sections of sort of correct responses, somewhat correct, and then sort of not correct responses, which are just the students who aren't really grasping what's going on. And this will tell me how the students are progressing. So I'm going to the formative assessment. So here's my formative assessment on Google Forms. So it's titled Marching Band, and it says, as we all know, there are many aspects of how marching band is taught, learned, and the proper etiquette of behaving and displaying yourself at performances. So for each question or statement below, please type out a full, honest answer. The questions are listed here. What are some of the first things you should look for when analyzing a piece of music? So this is going towards how the students are doing with their music. Next question is, explain how you would find your coordinate for learning drill and indicate what side of the field A and B are from the director's point of view, and indicate where the front and back hashes are in relation to visitor and home sidelines. So this is sort of relating more towards the marching aspect of the class. And then the last one is just sort of an etiquette type thing. So it is important to portray yourself appropriately on game days, both when performing and when sitting in the stands. What constitutes as appropriate and acceptable behavior or appearance in uniform? So this is, like I said, going towards more of the etiquette. Back to the PowerPoint. So that was my formative assessment. Summative assessment, I have a pre/post test in a couple slides from now. But I'm going to use this as my summative assessment, because it will help me keep track of how the students are grasping the concepts taught in class. And if I need to show, like, the principal or something, the progress that the students made from, say, the beginning of the year or semester or whatever it is towards the end of it, I can show them the data that Google Forms gives me. Going for modifications, accommodations, and depth of knowledge. So some of the modifications for my formative assessment, I put, seeing as how my formative assessment is a short answer response, I can change it up a few ways to accommodate those who need it. So I can make the short answers into, say, multiple choice questions. I can reword the questions to make them shorter and more to the point. And then for my summative assessment, which is my pre/post test, I can use less answers for some of the multiple choice questions to give the students more time to complete it. And I can use a text-to-speech feature so the student can have the test read aloud if that's what they need. Here's the depth of knowledge chart. So as I said, I believe it was in my formative assessment. I can sort of reword some of the questions. So I think in one of the questions I have indicate the side of the field or whatever. So instead of using the word indicate, I can take a level 1 word, such as identify, and say identify this side of the field. And I can do that with more questions too, or if the questions are somehow too easy, I can always go from level 1 higher, or if I find more words that are too hard, I can go from whatever level they were in to sort of a lower level. As far as remediation goes, so once I get the data from my formative assessment, I can make plans for remediation. One of the great things about a band setting is having section leaders. So section leaders are just, they're usually just one student who leads the group, or their section, I should say. So say for trumpets or flutes or whatever, they're usually going to have one section leader, which is usually a junior or senior, who shows leadership abilities and talent in their instrument. So using these people to sort of help those who aren't really getting it or might need the extra help usually always works. I've seen it work a lot of the times. Obviously there's some instances which it doesn't. So yeah, using those section leaders to help out those in need works a lot of the time, and it provides the student or that section leader with leadership opportunities. Another plan for mediation that works really, really well in the band room is breaking things down. Students benefit from breaking lessons down into chunks, and usually if I break something down and a student still is not really getting it, I can usually find ways to break it down even further. So breaking it down is also another great plan for remediation. So a link to my summative assessment, we can go there. So a band quiz. So this is sort of what I would give as my pre or post test. So some of these are pretty basic, and then it gets into some more complex things. So there's 10 questions all listed throughout here. Keep going. So like I said, it gets a little bit harder as we go, so this would be a good thing to show progress from beginning to end. And then one thing I can do is I have a text-to-speech tab open here. So I can copy and paste all the questions from the quiz into this, and this just pretty much plays whatever I type in it. So students on question 1, they'll read question 1, or they'll hit play to hear question 1, and then they can also sort of mess around with the speed of it. So if it's reading it too fast, they can go slow. They can do it at normal speed, very slow, or if they want a little bit faster, they can pick a faster pace too. So this is pretty cool. So example of this, see if it plays. Oops.
ACGB, DFAC, CGBD, or FACG.
It didn't start from the beginning, but it usually does, so let's just do it.
What notes are shown below?
So using that, the student will just click play. Once they hear all the question, I'll have the other question posted below it, so they'll just hit pause, then they'll answer the question and keep going. So that's the text-to-speech. Back to the PowerPoint. Now on to the multi-tiered support system of support. So again, based on that data that I collect, I can figure out what students need the most help, and then put them in a designated level of support, and then accommodate those students in the ways that best fit them. And then I can sort of look up like a percentage of what students are in each tier. So if I have a lot of students in tier 1, then I know I'm in a good spot. But then obviously if I have any percentage of students in tier 2 or tier 3, I'm going to have to go to other ways to get help for them, as it labels in the pyramid, MTSS teams, long-term help, short-term help, supplemental support, things like that. So using the scores and then putting students into the tiers will help me figure out sort of what I need to do to accommodate them. And I believe that is the end of my PowerPoint. Thank you.